Hello. Today I would like to talk about the spiritual ego, and I'm going to share with you my experience of having a giant, and I mean like really big spiritual ego and ego in general, and what eventually helped me to get rid of this giant ego. So I am not saying that right now I do not have any ego or that having no ego is something which is good and having some ego is something which is bad, because that's something which I do not know. But I know, at least I think I know, that having a big giant ego is something which is not the best thing, and it's actually toxic. I was raised as a Christian, and until I was maybe 18, I was going regularly to the church, but I was never, the big believer. I always had my own philosophies about life, about aliens, about death, and so on. But basically, until I was 18, I was going to church. I, wanted to know about the universe and so on, but that what I had. When I was 18, I decided that I am not going to go to church anymore. So I went to my mom and I told her that right now I am an adult and I can make my own decisions. And one of them is going to be that I am not going to go to church anymore. So yeah. I was maybe 18. I didn't have any spirituality yet. I didn't have any religion. And I was really curious about the universe and everything, but I didn't know. At that time, I started to read a book, a religious book, a dangerous book, surely, the most dangerous book that I have ever read. And basically, the author was Abdul Sheen. I can put like image in here. And a book was called In the Light of Truth. And basically, my mother had this book from some of her friends, but she never read it. So yeah. And it was a big religious book. It looked like a Bible or something like that. And I started to read the book. And it was the first time that I developed a giant ego. I wouldn't call it a spiritual ego. I would call it a religious ego. the ego is the same. It's just a different form. So the book was really heavy because the author he was putting himself in a position where he is like God, that he knows everything and you need to follow every single step, every single line, and so on. And he was critiquing Christianity, he was critiquing science, he was critiquing everything. And basically, there was almost no way how you could follow his teachings, because you need to be praying 24/7, you cannot have a single like negative thought, and so on. But yeah, really heavy book. I cannot emphasize this enough. But I developed a really big ego because when I was reading the book, I wasn't like 100% convinced at the beginning, and I had many doubts because I was not resonating with the book and so on. But it was like, you either are going to take everything or nothing. So slowly I was believing the book more and more as I was reading, and it created in me this ego that I started to think that right now I know the answers about the universe, I know the answers about the God, and other people, they have no idea. So it created in me this superiority. So right now, at the least, I can, imagine, or I can feel what it is to have like a big religious ego, when you have like people who are going to, tell you that they know everything. because that was me when I was reading this book. I even remember that I was thinking that right now I will have to find a girlfriend which is going to read the same book and who is going to be following the same teachings, and that I will have to raise my children, if I am going to have some, in this weird religious way, and so on. Luckily for me, I didn't meet any other people at that time who were reading the same book, because otherwise I would probably end up in some religious group, and maybe I wouldn't be able to go out of that. And also, luckily for me, at the end of the book, when I found out that he is like Jesus' older brother and so on, I found out that the author, he has like more books, and you need to read all of his books, and you need to read all of his books in a specific order, because if not, you will go automatically to the hell. So you cannot read the second book and then the first book, and so on. And yeah. The author, he was writing the books maybe during the Second World War, somewhere there, and I was unable to find other books, other PDFs, and so on. So luckily this slowly faded away. But when I was reading the book, I had a really big ego, because I was really thinking that I am better because I have these secrets other people have no idea, and because the author, he was critiquing the Christianity a lot, in a way that the way that Christians are worshipping God is so small, and God is a million times bigger than what the Christians are imagining, and so on. So I was thinking that I am better than atheists, I am better than Christians, I am better than Buddhists, I am better than everyone because I have this secret book, and right now I am the light worker, and so on. So yeah. So with time, this slowly faded away, but my religious ego or my spiritual ego didn't end in there, because a few years later, one more time, because of my mother, she had this kind of books, I started to read books about positive thinking and things like that. I would maybe differentiate a little bit, books about the positive thinking and books about the spirituality, because in my opinion, spirituality go a little bit deeper, or way deeper. But I started to read books about the positive thinking, and one more time I started to feel and think that I am better than other people, because right now I am reading about the positivity, so it automatically means that I am a positive person, and it automatically means I am happy, which I wasn't. But I started to, one more time, in the same way, feel that I am better than other people, because they have no idea, and they are negative, and I am positive, and so on. Few years later, I started to read books about spirituality and watching videos. So as I said, I think that spirituality is, a little bit deeper. And I started to watch videos these famous gurus like Osho, Eckhart Tolle, and the Present in the Moment, Sadhguru, and so on. It doesn't matter, but I was reading and watching a lot of spirituality. And one more time, it created in me this superiority of thinking that I am better than other people, because right now I am spiritual, other people, they are not spiritual, and so on. One YouTube channel, I have nothing against him, but he is a good guy with great teachings, but actualize.org, he is a guy who teaches spirituality, and he has a really dark, deep videos about the spirituality, and his videos in me created even more ego, even more spiritual ego, and so on. But yeah, basically, one more time, I had a big ego with the spirituality. But my ego wasn't only like the religious or the spiritual one, because when I was maybe 21, 22, maybe somewhere around that, I started to learn on my own graphic design, like these Adobe softwares like Photoshop, some video editings, Premiere Pro, After Effects, and so on. And one more time, I was thinking that I am better than other people because I am learning and I am grinding, and other people, they are lazy, and I am going to make all of the money because I am going to learn so much that I am going to be so great, and I am going to be famous because I am going to make some animations or some videos or something, and yeah. So I had this ego in many forms, and what eventually helped me to get rid of this giant spiritual ego was probably two things. So two things that eventually helped me to get rid of the big spiritual ego. One of them was I was slowly realizing that I was believing this Abdru-Shin and his religious book, and I realized that I was wrong and it probably wasn't the truth. Then I was watching or reading books about positive thinking, and I was wrong. Then I was watching videos about the spirituality, and I was wrong. I am not saying that the positive thinking or the spirituality is wrong. I think the spirituality is something which is great, but the way that I was believing in some stuff, the way that it created this superiority in me, that was something which was wrong. Because back then I was thinking that I know everything. Right now I am in a place where I am I do not know anything. I do not even know if there is a soul which is incarnating, or we die and that's it. I honestly do not know. So yeah, this slow realization that I was wrong so many times that I realized that probably I do not know everything, and yeah. I was also watching at that time some videos about the conspiracies and so on, and it was the same thing. I was believing in some kind of conspiracies about the moon landing or something like that, and I realized that I was probably wrong with many of these conspiracies, except of the aliens. But yeah. So I think that as an example with some kind of conspiracy, if you are going to believe something and you are going to realize later that it wasn't the truth, but later on you are going to believe in something else, and then you will realize that it wasn't the truth, and when this is going to repeat 4, 5, 6 times, you may slowly be okay, I will be really careful what I am going to read, what I am going to believe, and I am going to be a little bit more humble, a little bit more careful, and so on. So yeah, the second thing that really helped me to get rid of the big ego was life itself. For example, with this graphic design, video editing, and so on, life didn't give me money, life didn't give me fame, life gave me anxieties, depression, loneliness, addictions, and so on. And I am not saying that life gave me that it's not my fault. It's my fault, most of the things, or maybe all of them. I do not know exactly, but most of the things were probably my fault. But because life didn't give me money, because life didn't give me fame and so on, I was slowly losing my big ego. Because, it's like if nothing in life goes your way, it's kind of hard to keep your giant big ego. If I would have like a success 7, 8 years ago, probably I would develop a really big ego. If I would have like some kind of YouTube channel back then and I would have many views, I would be feeling that I am the king of the world and so on. And right now I'm like, if I would have many views, I would be like, okay, I am happy, but I don't mind as much. So yeah, basically life not giving me things that I wanted kind of killed my giant ego. Now, a few things that I can do right now that I was unable to do back then when I had this giant ego. For example, back then nobody could teach me anything. Maybe except of these big gurus like Osho or Eckhart Tolle or some of them. But regular people or some people on YouTube, they couldn't teach me anything because I already knew everything. Like, how can you teach me something if I know everything and I am better than you and so on. But now, when I realized that basically I do not know anything, I can learn from anyone. I can learn from my friends, I can learn from my neighbors, I can learn from people on YouTube, I can learn from you, I can learn from big gurus, I can learn from meditation, like anything. But back then, for example, my friends, they couldn't teach me anything about the life because I was spiritual, they were not spiritual, and they cannot teach me anything about life because how could they? Now, I don't consider myself spiritual and I don't like divide people like you are spiritual, you are not spiritual. So basically anyone can teach me something about life or about something. It doesn't mean that I am going to listen to everyone's opinion, or I can listen, but at the end of the day, I have to create my own opinions, but anyone can teach me something. Also, I think that the spiritual ego and like the big one can create more separation and maybe more loneliness because, for example, if you are going to have some old group of friends and you are not going to meet with them anymore because you are better than them and they are not spiritual, you are spiritual and you are not going to be wasting time with them, maybe you can be a little bit more lonely and so on. So this can be a little bit tricky, I think, because it doesn't mean that right now when you are like more spiritual, more like meditating or anything, that you need to still go out with your friends. Maybe it would be great for you to find new people, like people who resonate with you a little bit more. But I think that if you are going to if you do not want to go out with your old friends anymore because you are better than them, I think that it's not a good reason. But if you do not want to go with your old friends anymore because you just do not share the same values and you do not feel like the good energy when you are with them or something, okay, that's the valid thing. But I think this like superiority that I am better than you and that's why I am not going to waste my time with you is probably not the best thing. So yeah, as I said, I probably still have a lot of ego. It's like, sometimes it can be hard to see your ego. And especially when I look on my past, at my past, I can see that I had so much ego. So probably I still have, and I have many things that I need to work on. But back then I knew everything. Right now I think I do not know anything, and I think that I have less ego than I had. So yeah, basically I just wanted to share with you my story of having a big ego, and hopefully it was helpful to at least some of you, at least a little bit. So maybe you also had a big spiritual ego, maybe you didn't. You can write me that down in the comments, what was your story. Or maybe you have some kind of friend or family member or someone who has like really big spiritual ego. My little advice, I do not want to give anyone any advice because I do not know many things, but if you have someone who has like really big ego or big spiritual ego, I do not know if you can actually help him or help her. Because back then, when I had really big ego, and you would tell me that I have big ego, I wouldn't be like listening to you, because big ego think that it doesn't have any ego. Big ego thinks that everyone else has ego, but he don't. So back then, if you would tell me that I have a giant ego, I would be like, no, you have giant ego or something. Now, if you are going to tell me that I have still big ego, I will be like, okay, thank you. I didn't see it on myself, and yeah. So what I want to say is that if there is someone in your life who has like really big ego, the probably best thing is to let him realize this slowly on his own. Like I do not know if you can do much for other people in this way. Like you can only change yourself. So yeah. But don't take this as advice. Like I really do not know what is best for you, what is best for your friends. I barely know what is best for me. So yeah, I just wanted to share my little story. So let me know in the comments your own experience, your own story, and yeah. So thank you very much. As I said, I hope that this was at least a little bit useful for someone. And yeah, thank you. Have a nice day and goodbye.